Every website tells you something different. Plant in March, plant in May, full sun, partial shade. This variety, that cultivar. You've spent more time reading contradictory advice than actually growing. But there's a woman at my local nursery who solved the entire equation in a single sentence. She's been there for 30 years. In the back of her shop, there's a section most customers walk right past. No flashy labels, no seasonal discounts, no Instagram-worthy packaging. Just 9 plants in black pots on a wooden bench. I asked her once, what's the biggest mistake every beginner gardener makes? She didn't hesitate. They buy annuals every spring. The same flowers, the same money, the same death in November. Then she pointed to the back. These are the only ones that matter. Everything else in this store is designed to bring you back next year. The American ornamental annual flower industry generates $48 billion a year. The business model is simple. You buy flowers that die. 9 plants, 3 ancient mechanisms, 1 month to change everything. Specific to USDA zones across the United States. Pet-safe options marked. Invasiveness management included. For 4,000 years, every garden planted itself. Then someone figured out how to sell you flowers that die. This video opens the archive on 9 plants that kept that system alive. And the industry that made you forget. The archive opens in the garden of a Roman villa. 2,000 years ago, Pliny the Elder is documenting the plants that return every year, without replanting, without buying, without permission. He's not amazed. He's simply recording what every civilization already knows. The Egyptians grew them along the Nile. The Chinese tended them in monastery gardens. Medieval monks maintained perennial borders that survived centuries of war. Every civilization before ours understood one thing. The best gardens plant themselves. They understood it because they understood the 3 engineers. Imagine 3 types of engineers working beneath your garden. You never hired them. You never see them. But they're building. The first works underground. Rhizomes, a subterranean internet, sending new shoots laterally through the soil. Silently, constantly, year after year. Coreopsis does this, yarrow does this, bee balm does this, catmint does this. The second works with the wind, self-seeding, nature's postal service, delivering free plants to every empty space in your garden. No cost, no effort, no permission. Shasta daisies do this. Black-eyed Susans do this. The third works with patience, clump division, a slow explosion that takes years to notice. But once it starts, it never stops. Salvia does this. Daylilies do this. Garden phlox does this. 3 mechanisms. 3 strategies that nature designed to ensure gardens never need to be replanted. These are the 3 engineers that kept every garden on Earth alive for 4,000 years, until someone convinced you they were unnecessary. If you're already starting to see your garden differently, subscribe. We have more cycles to uncover. The archive closes. But the permanent garden grows back. It doesn't need a store. It doesn't need a subscription. It doesn't need November. It needs soil, sunlight, and the decision to plant something that endures. Which of these 9 is already in your garden? Tell us in the comments, because that knowledge is the archive. Subscribe to the Green Archive. We excavate the knowledge they made you forget. Every archive we open was closed for a reason. The next archive opens soon. Coreopsis, tick seed. Coreopsis is the most underestimated perennial in America. It blooms from June through September, golden yellow, drought-tolerant once established. thrives in poor soil where most annuals would fail. The nursery industry rarely promotes it, because one plant becomes 20 in 3 years. No repurchase, no replacement, no revenue. Plant it in full sun. Water it once a week for the first month. Then forget about it. It won't forget about you. Yarrow. Achillea millefolium. Yarrow has been used in medicine for 3,000 years. The genus name comes from Achilles, who reportedly used it to treat soldiers' wounds during the Trojan War. But its real superpower is underground. Rhizomes spread laterally, colonizing bare patches without any human intervention. It attracts beneficial insects, repels pests, tolerates drought, heat, and neglect. The perfect employee that never asks for a raise. Bee balm. Monarda. Bee balm is a pollinator, magnet. Hummingbirds, butterflies, native bees. It spreads aggressively through rhizomes, which means you may need to manage it. But that's the kind of problem every gardener should want. Too many flowers, too much life, too much color. The only maintenance note: it's susceptible to powdery mildew in humid climates. Plant resistant varieties like Jacob Klein or Marshall's Delight and give it good air circulation. Catmint. Nepeta. Catmint is the workhorse of the perennial border. It blooms in waves from late spring through fall. Lavender blue flowers, aromatic foliage that deer and rabbits avoid. Shear it back after the first bloom flush, and it rebounds within weeks with a second wave. It's drought tolerant. It's pest resistant. It fills gaps that would otherwise become weed territory. The nursery industry has no answer for a plant this reliable. Shasta daisy. Leucanthemum agax superbum. The Shasta daisy was hybridized by Luther Burbank in the early 1900s, named after Mount Shasta in California. It self-seeds prolifically. One plant becomes a colony within 2 growing seasons. Classic white petals, yellow center, blooms from June through August. Deadhead spent flowers to encourage more blooms, or leave them to let nature handle distribution. Either way, this plant multiplies. Black-eyed Susan. Rudbeckia. Black-eyed Susans are native to North America. They've been self-seeding across this continent for millennia, long before anyone built a garden center. They thrive in full sun, tolerate partial shade, handle drought, handle clay soil, handle neglect. They bloom from midsummer through fall, providing color when most annuals are fading. And every year, there are more of them. The industry can't compete with a plant that gives itself away for free. Salvia. Perennial sage. Salvia is one of the largest genera in the plant kingdom. Over 900 species. Perennial varieties like May Night and Caradonna form dense clumps that expand outward every year. Deep purple flower spikes attracts pollinators, repels deer. Divide clumps every 3 to 4 years to maintain vigor, and share the extras with neighbors. That's the economy nature intended. Abundance shared, not scarcity manufactured. Daylily. Hemerocalis. Daylilies are virtually indestructible. Each flower lasts only 1 day, but a mature plant produces hundreds of blooms per season. They spread through clump expansion. Within 5 years, 1 daylily becomes a border. There are over 80,000 registered cultivars, every color except true blue. Important note for cat owners: daylilies are toxic to cats. If you have outdoor cats, choose a different plant from this list. This is non-negotiable. Garden phlox. Phlox paniculata. Garden phlox is the finale of the perennial border. It blooms in late summer when everything else is winding down. tall, fragrant, clusters of flowers in pink, purple, white, and red. It self-seeds and forms expanding clumps. Choose mildew-resistant varieties like David or Gina. Give it good air circulation and watch it close out your growing season with a statement. 9 plants, 3 mechanisms, 4,000 years of proof. So why doesn't your garden already look like this? Because the $48 billion annual flower industry needs you to come back every spring. Think about it. Every big box garden center, every seasonal display at the entrance, every spring planting sale, they're selling you annuals. Plants that bloom once, die once, and need to be replaced once. Every single year. Perennials break that cycle. And broken cycles break revenue models. This isn't conspiracy, it's economics. Annuals have a higher per unit profit margin. They have built-in obsolescence. They create repeat customers by design. Perennials create gardeners, independent ones, the kind who stop shopping. And that is bad for business. Here's your 30-day protocol. Organized by USDA hardiness zone. Zones 3 and 4. Northern U.S., Minnesota, Wisconsin, Montana. Start with yarrow, black-eyed Susan, daylily, catmint. These 4 handle harsh winters and short growing seasons. Plant after last frost. Space 18 inches apart. Water deeply once a week for the first month. Zones 5 and 6, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Missouri. All 9 plants thrive here. This is the sweet spot. Start with the full list. Plant in early spring or early fall. Group by mechanism. Rhizome spreaders in one bed, self-seeders in another, clump dividers as borders. Zones 7 and 8, Southeast, Southwest. Georgia, Texas, Arizona. Prioritize drought-tolerant varieties. Coreopsis, yarrow, salvia, black-eyed Susan. Add catmint and daylily for color continuity. Avoid overwatering. Mulch heavily to retain soil moisture. Zones 9 through 11. Deep South, Southern California, Hawaii. Focus on heat-tolerant selections. Salvia, Coreopsis, daylily. Plant in fall for best establishment. Provide afternoon shade in extreme heat zones. Monitor for pest pressure. Warmer zones have longer insect seasons. Let's bring this back to the science. A 2019 study published in the journal Ecological Engineering found that perennial plantings reduced soil erosion by up to 70% compared to annual beds. A separate study from the University of Minnesota demonstrated that perennial root systems sequester 3 to 5 times more carbon than annual root systems. Perennials don't just save money, they save soil, they save water, they save ecosystems. The Royal Horticultural Society in the UK has been recommending perennial first garden design since 2015, specifically citing reduced water usage, lower maintenance costs, and improved biodiversity. This isn't alternative gardening. This is evidence-based horticulture. The data has been available for decades. The industry just chose not to share it at the point of sale. So here's what happens. Month 1. You plant 9 perennials, you water them, you wait. Month 3. Green shoots, some flowers, nothing dramatic. Month 6. The rhizome spreaders are moving. You notice new growth where you didn't plant anything. Year 2. The self-seeders have scattered. New plants appear in gaps you didn't fill. Year 3. The clump dividers have doubled. Your border is full. Your beds are complete. Year 4. You divide. You share. You give plants to neighbors. Year 5. Your garden plants itself. That's the resurrection, not a miracle. A mechanism, 4,000 years old, exposed by every civilization that came before us, suppressed by an industry that profits from forgetting.